The Italian Wine Podcast is the community-driven platform for Italian wine geeks around the world. Support the show by donating at ItalianWinepodcast.com. Donate €5 or more and we'll send you a copy of our latest book, My Italian Grape Geek Journal, absolutely free. To get your free copy of My Italian Grape Geek Journal, click Support Us at ItalianWinepodcast.com or wherever you get your pods. Grazie mille.
Welcome to Wine, Food and Travel with me, Marc Millon, on Italian Wine Podcast. Listen in as we journey to some of Italy's most beautiful places in the company of those who know them best, the families who grow grapes and make fabulous wines. Through their stories, we will learn not just about their wines, but also about their ways of life, the local and regional foods and specialities that pair naturally with their wines, and the most beautiful places to visit. We have a wonderful journey of discovery ahead of us, and I hope you will join me. Welcome to Wine, Food and Travel with me, Marc Millon, on Italian Wine Podcast. Today it's my great pleasure to travel to one of my favorite of all of Italy's many, many beautiful winelands, the classic heartland of Prosecco, between Valdobbiadene and Conegliano, to meet my guest, Giulia Pussini, who is the International Communication and Events Manager of the Consortium Tutela del Vino Conegliano Valdobbiadene Prosecco, which looks after the interests of wine growers in the classic Prosecco heartland, while ensuring that quality standards are kept to the highest level. Giulia, it's a real pleasure to meet you again here. We met in person last year when I visited your area with the Consortium. So thanks for sharing your time with us this morning. And how are you today?
Thank you. Good morning to everybody. It's a pleasure to be the guest of your podcast. I'm very well. Thank you very much.
Is it a beautiful day?
Yes, it's a beautiful sunny day. Also day with the air very crisp, like a good glass of our wine.
Oh, perfect. Now, Giulia, as I said, I think that the Prosecco Conegliano Valdobbiadene area is one of the most beautiful of Italy's many, many beautiful winelands. Can you please give us, for our listeners who maybe haven't been there, a visual description of this very special land that gives birth to a very special wine?
Of course. First of all, we have to say where we are located. So we are in the northeastern part of Italy. We are in the Veneto region, and we are situated in an ideal position between the sea and the mountains. We are 70 kilometers far from Venice and 100 kilometers far from the mountains, from the Dolomites. The mountains create a perfect barrier that permit to have winter that are not so cold. The fact that we are not so far from the sea permit to have also summer that are not so hot. And actually, this was the area where the nobles of Venice used to come in the past for avoid the hotness of the lagoon. Conegliano Valdobbiadene represents the historic production area for Prosecco. It's an area of 15 municipalities. It's an entirely hilly area where we find the best expression of this wine. This area, for the uniqueness of its landscape, obtained a really important recognition in 2019, the recognition of UNESCO World Heritage Site. Was really a great satisfaction for us because this recognition arrived after 10 years of hard work preparing dossier and involving experts of different subjects from Italy and from other countries. The UNESCO identified our landscape as a cultural landscape, means a landscape characterized by a really positive interaction between men, the wine growers, and nature. And this thanks to the work of thousands of wine growers that works in our area, that we have a landscape that is well preserved.
Actually, that's a very, very good point that UNESCO cite in the UNESCO citation, that it isn't just a beautiful natural landscape, but a landscape that's been shaped by man and woman over many, many generations and indeed centuries.
Exactly. And the UNESCO identified three unique elements, three distinctive elements of this landscape. One is the hogback. So this particular geomorphological configuration, we have two series of hills that goes in parallel from east to west and are interspersed with a small parallel valleys. Then the second element that was identified as unique of our area is the ciglione. So, ciglione is a particular type of terrace that is made not with stones but with the grass. And it was a system that the wine growers found mm, to carry on viticulture in this particular and difficult area characterized by these very steep hills. So Ciglione was a system used for reinforcing the slopes of the hills and also reduce the soil erosion. Then we have the third element that was recognized as unique of our area, the fact that is like a patchwork. So it is an area that is characterized by thousands of small vineyard plots interspersed with woodlands and fallowlands. And it's an area where the biodiversity is also preserved.
Okay, that's a really, really good visual description. And I just want to emphasize these points. The hogback shapes of these ridges of mountains, so distinctive. And I remember standing and feeling this landscape around with these beautifully shaped hills. And then the ciglioni that you mentioned, these grassy terracing, the vineyards in Conegliano Valdobbiadene are so steep that they couldn't be worked unless man had been able to find a way to shape them. And this is a very distinguishing element in the vineyards of this classic heartland for Prosecco. And thirdly, as you mentioned, Giulia, that patchwork, which makes it such a pleasant and beautiful landscape. It's not single-minded. It's not only vines, but there are the woods and also other crops grown, and the shapes, some of the rows going vertically, some going horizontally, make it a visually stunning place. And a small zone, Giulia, compared to Prosecco DOCG, which extends over much of Friuli Venezia Giulia and large parts of Veneto. It's very easy to confuse the Prosecco DOCG larger area with this very small classic heartland. So it's a really unique and beautiful area.
Exactly. It's a really interesting area, particular area characterized by an heroic viticulture where everything, almost everything, has to be done by hand. And we estimate around 600, 800 hours of work per hectare per year in comparison with 150 hours of work per hectare per year on the plains. The territory is really the main factor that permits to obtain here a product of superior quality. It's a territory with a really high vocation for viticulture, characterized by different type of soils, by perfect microclimate, and the territory is one of the reason of the quality of Conegliano Valdobbiadene Prosecco Superiore DOCG. Then this area is also characterized by really um, deep tradition in sparkling winemaking and really um, important wine culture that was diffused in the area thanks to the School of Enology that we have in Conegliano. The first School of Enology created in Italy in 1876, and school that played an important role in the past in training the young technician and also nowadays plays a fundamental role in training the technician that goes to work in our winery, training around 1,500 students every year. And also, our area is characterized by a strong community of producers. We talk about 3,400 families of wine growers, so a strong community of women and men that work here with an enormous passion.
Okay, well, those are all, again, factors that make Prosecco Superiore from Conegliano Valdobbiadene such a special wine. And I want to pick up on that point you mentioned of this being heroic viticulture. It really is heroic viticulture. I've walked up these steep hills when I was there, and it's backbreaking. And as you say, the number of hours of labor required to manually tend the vineyards, walking up the Ciglioni and experiencing this compared to vineyards on the Pianura, where much of the production for Prosecco DOCG comes from. The contrast is incredible. It's two different wine zones completely, and indeed that's reflected in the wines itself. But it's amazing to think, Giulia, as well, about this Prosecco boom and how it developed. I remember visiting Conegliano Valdobbiadene more than 40 years ago, and Prosecco was really a local wine still. There was a Strada di Vino Bianco, which ran between Valdobbiadene and Conegliano. And for the red wine, for the Marca Trevigiana, down in the flatter lands, there was a Strada di Vino Rosso. Now, those have gone now, and I think there's now a Strada del Prosecco. Is that right?
Yes, yes. The Strada Prosecco was founded in 1966, and it was the first wine route created in Italy. And it's a perfect way to discover the area because, as you said, it connects the two capitals of our area. So Conegliano, our cultural capital, where we have the School of Enology, and Valdobbiadene, the productive capital, where we have the most part of the sparkling wine companies. And it's an itinerary that permits to the wine tourist to discover the many interesting cultural sites of the area, so old castles, medieval chapels, all the water mills, but also it is also a way to discover the wineries, of course, and the rich local gastronomy. So enjoying the local trattoria, where we can find the typical gastronomy or more gourmet restaurants.
Okay, well, that's certainly we'll discuss that a little bit more detail in just a minute. But you're making our listeners, I think, really want to come and visit, and I hope they do because it is one of the most enjoyable of all winelands to actually just meander through and experience the beauty as well as the wines, the culture, and the
They
foods.
are all welcome.
Now, Giulia, I want to just clear one thing first of all, and I want our listeners to understand the name. You know, we talk about Prosecco, and Prosecco is found all around the world, great oceans of it. A lot of it Prosecco DOC, but for the wines from the classic heartland, Conegliano Valdobbiadene Prosecco Superiore DOCG is the full name, but it's quite a mouthful of a name. Do some producers shorten this?
So consumer can find in the label the entire name, so Conegliano Valdobbiadene Prosecco Superiore, but the producers can also decide to write just Conegliano or just Valdobbiadene.
Okay, so those are the important names for consumers to look for, to see Conegliano and Valdobbiadene or one or the other on the label, as well as Prosecco Superiore DOCG.
Exactly, exactly.
Okay,
In the most part of the cases, the consumers can find in the labels the entire name. So the complete form of our name, Conegliano Valdobbiadene, Prosecco Superiore DOCG.
Okay, great. Now, I'd like to talk about something that's also very important and unique, which are the rive, a relatively new concept for many wine lovers and lovers of Prosecco who may not have encountered this before. It's actually more than just a single cruise concept because, as you say, it really is a reflection of this heroic viticulture. So can you give our listeners an explanation of what the Rivi are and how many and what we can expect from these special wines when we encounter and taste them?
Yes, Rive, first of all, is a local term always used to indicate the best vineyards. The vineyards situated on the steepest slopes of our hills. So in 2009, when we obtained the recognition of the DOCG, we decided to introduce this new typology, Rive, a typology that is produced sourcing the grapes just from one single hamlet or village of our area. This typology was created with the idea of having wines that represented the true expression of a single place, the true essence of the terroir of our hills. For example, if a consumer finds on the label the indication Rive di Solighetto, it means that that wine is produced just with the grapes harvested in the hamlet of Solighetto, hamlet that has a specific soil, a specific microclimate that consumer can find in the wine. Tasting different wines, different Rive wines, is like to do a tour of our area, understanding the subtle differences that we can find in an area that is true on one hand is small, but on the other hand is an area really rich in subtle differences.
How many rive are there?
In the area, we have 43 different rive that are villages and hamlets.
Italian Wine Podcast. If you think you love wine as much as we do, then give us a like and a follow anywhere you get your pods.
So the rive are really the Grand Cru, the most unique and fullest expression of Prosecco Superiore from Conegliano Valdobbiadene. Is that right?
Yes, exactly. They represent the cruise of our appellation, the essence of our area and our terroir. Rive, it is a local term that is used to indicate was always used to indicate the best vineyards situated in the steepest slopes of our hills. And we decided in 2009 to create, when we obtained the recognition of the DOCG, to introduce this new typology, a typology that could permit us to enhance the value of our area, the value of our terroirs and our territory. So if consumers find on a bottle, on the label, the indication Rive di, for example, Solighetto, one of the hamlets of the area, they know that they are tasting the true essence of this specific hamlet. And tasting different rives is like to do a tour of our area, an area that is very small, but it is characterized by subtle differences between soils, microclimates that permit to obtain different type of wines.
Okay, well, that's a very, very important distinction. And as I say, I think a lot of our listeners may not have encountered the Rive wines. They're made in small quantities of the very highest quality, but they really do express terroir. And as you say, Giulia, they are real examples of heroic viticulture because some of these small Rive are incredibly steep. unbelievably steep, and you wonder that it's even possible to work the land. It's so labor intensive. So I really urge our listeners, when you encounter the opportunity, to enjoy and taste and really appreciate these wonderful wines. Now, Giulia, I want to talk about one other wine, the top of the Prosecco quality pyramid, and we find there a unique wine from a very small and very special place, Cartizze. Can you tell us about the Cartizze Hill and why wine made from grapes grown on this hill is so wonderful and spectacularly popular, especially in Italy?
Yes, Cartizze represents the Grand Cru of our area. When we obtained the recognition of DOCG in 1969, already at that time, Cartizze was identified like the best spot for growing Glera grapes. So Cartizze, it is a subzone of 106 hectares, cultivated by more than 100 wine growers, and it is an area characterized by a perfect combination of ancient soil, big differences in temperature between day and night that permit to have a really um, a really a really great richness of aromas in the wine. Then we have also a perfect microclimate. It's always a little bit windy in the area of Cartizze, and the perfect exposure because the vineyards are situated on the southern slopes of the hills, so perfect exposure to the sun. So Cartizze is in the commune of Valdobbiadene, is situated between the hamlets of Santo Stefano, San Pietro di Barbozza, and Saccol, and is also called the Golden Pentagon because it has the shape of a pentagon, and golden because generally we find in Cartizze wine more golden color. Is due also to the presence of a higher concentration of sugar generally in this wine because Cartizze is produced mainly in the dry version. That is the sweetest typology that we have. It is a tradition to produce it in this way, but in the last years, more and more producers started to produce this wine in the brut, also extra brut version for having a wine that truly express the incredible characteristic of this specific territory.
Okay, that's a very, very good description as well. It's a beautiful hill. You took me up the hill, and we had a wonderful vista of this magnificent landscape from the Cartizze Hill. So it is a small zone with as you say, a very large number of producers having just small little bits of the Cartizze Hill and making this fabulous wine that is hugely popular, particularly in Italy. There's not enough of it to go around in export markets. We find it less commonly than other Proseccos. As you also pointed out, Giulia, the exposure, the higher sugar levels, the richness, the aromatic precursors make it a fuller style of Prosecco, often, as you say, in the dry or extra dry versions, which, as you point out, are the sweeter versions. But I was very fascinated to try the brut and the extra brut, where we could really taste the richness in a bone dry wine, the richness and complexity that comes from this unique vineyard. Now, Giulia, when I was with you, we enjoyed some wonderful meals in typical trattorie and simple ristorante, paired mainly throughout the meals entirely with Prosecco. I think a lot of people don't think of enjoying a full meal with sparkling wine like Prosecco, but it was very, very successful, and I think we all really enjoyed that experience. So I wonder if you could perhaps share with our listeners some of the typical foods, the piatti tipici of the area, and maybe what styles of Prosecco pair best with your local
Of
foods.
course, the local gastronomy is based on simple and genuine ingredients. And depending on the season, we can find interesting typical products that are used in first courses like risotto, for example. In the spring, we have the asparagus, green and white, wild herbs that are used for first courses that can match well with a brut version of Conegliano Valdobbiadene, Prosecco Superiore. Then in the fall we have the marroni di Combai, the chestnut IGP that can be used for preparing not only dessert but also second courses. And in winter we have the radicchio di Treviso, the red chicory, called also the flower of the winter. We have also in the area very interesting production of cold cuts like soppressa or cheeses that are produced in the local dairies on the mountains around Valdobbiadene. A typical cheese, for example, is the drunken cheese, and there is a curious legend behind it. It seems that during the First World War, local people used to hide their cheeses from the Austro-Hungarian soldier, and they put the cheeses under the pomace, the skin of the grapes. We don't know if this legend is true or not, but what we know is that these cheeses are really interesting. Their cheeses produced left to mature in contact with the pomace of different type of grapes, also glera.
Oh, that's really interesting. I've seen that cheese, often with a red grape on it. Would that be Raboso or something local? But I didn't know the story behind it, and it really flavors subtly the cheese. It's a delicious
Yes,
cheese.
it's true.
What is that called in Italian?
Ubriaco,
Ubriaco, drunken cheese. Okay.
drunken cheese. Yes,
Yeah.
also produced with the Marzemino grapes, for
Oh,
example.
Marzemino. Okay.
Grape that is used to produce a pastito wine in the area.
Okay.
We have to say that the versatility of our wine permit to match Conegliano Valdobbiadene Prosecco Superiore in with different kind of dishes and throughout all the meal because we go from the driest version, the extra brut and brut, that are more in line with the modern international taste that can be matched at the beginning of the meal with the starter and first course. And then we can proceed with the extra dry, for example, with second courses with white meat, um, for finishing with a dry version with a dessert and having the perfect conclusion of the meal.
Yes, it is that versatility and range of wines that I think was quite wonderful for us to experience when we were there, and also remembering that Conegliano Valdobbiadene, the zone itself, is located very, very close to the sea, so we had some wonderful seafood, but then also the more robust foods, and also grigliata misto, grilled meats, also paired well. I think the fattier meats were very nicely accompanied by a brut prosecco Superiore Conegliano Valdobbiadene that would really cut the richness of the meats. So a very wonderful gastronomic wine. Now, Giulia, we've already mentioned that this is a beautiful land to visit for wine tourists, for people who are looking to discover wine, but also simply want to be somewhere that's really beautiful in the wine country and perhaps just relax and enjoy a beautiful area. So there's so much to do here. And I know that the wine hospitality is warm and genuine from many of the producers. But what would you say to our listeners who might be thinking about visiting your area?
Conegliano Valdobbiadene is the perfect destination, I think, for tourists that are looking for authentic and genuine places and products. The wineries of our area are many, are different. We go from the small, medium-sized company to the big sparkling wine maison, and they offer different type of experiences for wine lovers, from the guided tour of the vineyard, of the cellar, tasting in special places like the casere, the small huts, small houses that we have in the midst of vineyards. Then there are wineries that offer also cultural, interesting cultural programs like concerts in the vineyards, or walking or cycling tours. So there are many, many options. It's an area that can be interesting from different point of view. For the cultural sites, also it's an area that it's interesting for the lovers of outdoor activities, because there are many hiking trails, routes for cycling enthusiasts, for horse lovers. There are places that rent e-bikes, Vespas. There is the possibility of doing helicopter tours. One thing that is interesting is that last year it was created and opened the UNESCO Trail, an itinerary of 15 kilometers. So for lovers of hiking trails, an itinerary of 15 kilometers that permit to discover the core zone, the heart of the UNESCO area, traversing the territory from Vidor, close to Valdobbiadene, to Vittorio Veneto, another lovely town of the area, in 4 days. So there are really many, many options, really many, many ways for enjoying the area.
Well, that's fabulous, Giulia. You've really, I hope, made our listeners all want to hop on a plane and fly to Venice, and then it's a short drive up to Conegliano Valdobbiadene. It's been a real pleasure catching up with you again today. So thank you so much for being my guest and for taking all of us into this very special world of Conegliano Valdobbiadene Prosecco Superiore DOCG. I send my best wishes to you and to your colleagues at the Consortium for all the really fabulous work you're doing. And I really look forward to visiting again sometime soon. So thank you, Giulia. Grazie e buona giornata.
Thank you very much to you. It was a pleasure, and you're all welcome in our hills.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
We hope you enjoyed today's episode of Wine, Food and Travel with me, Marc Millon, on Italian Wine Podcast. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe right here or wherever you get your pods. Likewise, you can visit us at ItalianWinePodcast.com. Until next time, chin chin.